Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Winter 89 Colors. It is currently Thursday morning at 9 a.m., which is normally when I'm starting work, but Thursdays are my day off. So I thought I would do something new today that I have not done yet with you all, and that is I think I've done one once before, a chatty WIP situation. So I thought that this was one that I started on video. And I even videoed me doing a little bit more on it since then, but I don't know. I don't think I'm going to release that. It's really simple. It's just me laying down Albrecht Duers on the main elements. So it's really not that interesting. You can kind of see where it's gone. If you want to see that footage, let me know. I still have it. I just haven't edited it or anything. I just didn't think that people would be that interested in it. So I figured I would finish off all these details and, clean up some of the washiness of it and just finish up this page as much as I can in one video while I chat with you all. I haven't done a chat in a very long time, so I figured I would walk you through what I have so far and how my mind works, because I find it really hard to video for you guys a lot of the time because I don't have a plan. Like, I'll have a rough idea, but I don't really have a plan going in. Sometimes I need to experiment and see what's happening. So as I'm videoing, I'm jumping all around, It's not like, heaven love her, Karen from My Colorful Country Life, who is able to take one pencil and then put that pencil all over the page everywhere she wants it and then move on to the next pencil, right? Like, I cannot even fathom doing that. I jump from element to element, from bit to bit, piece to piece, color to color. So it's a lot of editing in order to make it make sense to you guys. So I thought maybe if I did this sort of semi-live so that you can see what my thought process is like and how it goes about, how I go about putting everything down, maybe that would be a little easier for you guys to understand. So, anyway, so I've got my coffee here. It's in a Starbucks cup, but it's just because it's reusable. This is just a Keurig coffee, homemade, so it's, I don't drink Starbucks on the regular, very rarely actually. I have one right across the street from my work, but lately I've been really trying to save money, so I haven't been using it. Have a drink here. Okay, so the first thing, I guess we'll start with, as you can see, I have my list of all the Albrecht Duers that I used, excluding the background, because I feel like the background's done. I'm not going to mess with the background. I like it the way it is, soft and messy and watercolory. I'm just going to leave it. But I've done activated on all the other elements that you can see, and then I've also gone dry over top of some of them, like the eggshells here I've gone dry over top, and these purple flowers here I've gone dry. The rest, I'm not sure if I'm going, and a little bit on the ground as well. I think I'm going to leave the ground. I think it's done. But I'm going to finish off the rest of the elements, and I haven't decided if I'm going to wet them or if I'm going to leave them dry. We're going to figure that out as we go. So yeah, so these are the colors I was using. I don't know if I'm going to purely stick with these or if I'm going to use more than that, but in case you want to have a look, I'm sorry I don't have the numbers up with them, but these are all the colors that I've used so far on the foreground. So I'll try to remember to tell you what I'm using as I go, but I don't make promises because, again, this is chatty, so I might forget. So the first things first, I think I need to, these daffodils, they're very soft. I feel like we need to make them just a little bit brighter. So I'm going to go back in with, yeah, I think I used light cadmium yellow for those. So I'm going to do the same. Let me find that here. Yeah. So I've got light cadmium yellow. Let me zoom in just a smidge. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to start with these dry, and if I feel like I need to activate them, I will. But anyways, so I had filmed a very brief little April plans video for you. I had planned to pick out at least a few pages to choose from and kind of go through those with you. But unfortunately, I just felt like it was too short. It was too rushed. And I've already completed a ton of pages. I don't know, I had a lot of motivation at the beginning of this month, particularly in Alien Worlds, because I've joined a little group created by Candace from Happy Catastrophe Colors. A lovely group of ladies she's gathered together, and we're all working on Alien Worlds together, and that gave me the motivation to try and really get some stuff done in that book, and I've gotten an amazing amount done. I finished 3 pages in one weekend, which in a Kirby book is unheard of. That's crazy. Who does that? My hand's a little sore from it, actually. But it was just really cool to be able to just blast through a few Kirby pages due to the help and support of all those lovely ladies over there. So thank you to all of you who have been pushing me forward. But anyway, so I didn't think I would release that video. It was only 12 minutes when I filmed it. I could add more on, but it just seems like a little bit, you know, unnecessary. If you guys think it is necessary, if you guys want to see, I might refilm it. I don't think I'll leave it the way it is. I don't really know if I like it. I was in a hurry because I knew my roommates were coming home when I filmed it, and I kind of like just wanted to like rip it out, right? But I don't think that that's, I think it deserves better than that if I'm gonna do it. But again, I almost never stick to those things anyway, so what's the point, right? So I'm just using the light cadmium yellow to lay down kind of a nice, strong yellow base, because daffodils, generally speaking, are very bright flowers, right? They are yellow. Very, very yellow. So I'm doing this. This is kind of like, I'm going to call this my medium color. I'm going to have a darker color. I'll probably use the Naples, because that's what I used on the chicks down here to darken them up. To create more shadowing. So how have you guys been? What are you up to? How's your coloring going? Did you have a good long weekend? I didn't do anything on the long weekend. I really didn't. I purposely sort of rejected all the family plans, you know. My family's getting smaller and smaller now. It was never big to begin with, but, you know, my Oma passed away last month. So last month was really hectic. It was crazy trying to get everything together and deal with everything. So yeah, last month I didn't get a ton of coloring done, but I got enough. I got more than I thought. But I've been, you know, so I you know, the family, my Oma's family offered to have us over for Easter. They even offered to have us stay there because they live about 2 hours away. So they were like, it's a long drive. If you want, you can just stay here. And I was like, that's a really nice thought. But I don't really feel like spending time in someone else's house right now. I kind of just wanted to be, you know, in my safe space, in my comfortable space, you know. So I said, no, thank you. Sorry. Got a lot going on. And I mean, that's true too. Mentally, I've got a lot going on. I'm still dealing with my own mental health. My goodness, you guys, like, I have so much that I could talk about, but I don't want to get too deep into stuff. I mean, you don't want to listen to me ramble on about my mental health and everything else, right? You're not my therapist. It's fine. But yeah, so I just spent the weekend coloring. I literally, like I said, I banged out 3 Kirby pages, plus a few other pages. Let me see, what have I done so far? I finished, hold on. I did one in Spring Mandalas, one in Welcome to the Village, and one in Rooms of Wonder. So, like, I think I got a heck of a lot done, don't you? Like, that's a heck of a lot for how far we are into March right now. Like, that's crazy. At this rate, I'm gonna rocket into orbit. Yeah, I feel like those daffodils are looking better already with that nice bright yellow pumping them up a bit. All right, I'm not going to spend too long on those because that's probably really boring for you. So I'm going to move on. Well, I'm going to stay on the same element, but I'm going to pull out the dark Naples ochre and add some shadowing to it. Again, not pressing super hard, just getting a little bit of that ochre color, particularly where the petals are lying behind each other. Just to create that extra bit of shadow appearance. Yeah, what do we think of that? Yeah, I feel like that just adds a little bit extra. Yeah, I like that. So you'll see how these like little petals, they kind of fold a little bit right over top of each other. So I'm just going in with my ochre just along those lines to help create the illusion of shadow. Just gives it a little more depth. Yeah, so that's how I would do that. And then to finish this flower off, I would probably take my, I'm gonna take the ivory and see if that's dark enough. So I'm just gonna go over particularly the highlight areas, just to make it so that they're not white, they're just a little bit more off-white. I don't really want any actual white on these daffodils because, again, I don't want them to look too light. I want them to have that yellow, that really yellow shock feeling, but without drowning out all the rest of the soft pastel colors. How do we feel about that? Yeah, I think that's nice. That's good enough. So that's how I would do I'm gonna do the rest of the flowers like that as well. So I guess I should work on their stems next. So I guess the colors I used for that would be pine green and hooker's green. Oh, it was hooker's green that I used for this. Okay. Let's do a little sharpen And there's my hooker's green. So again, trying to create that bit of shadow feeling by going in, creating that dark area underneath the flowers where they would be shielding it. And then on these petals, I'm trying to create a little dimension by making that central stem kind of darker so it feels like it's got creating some shadow in there. Do the same for all the rest of them. Sorry if you can hear some rattling in the background. My rabbit, her name is Purdy, she's feeling really feisty right now because it is that time of year. It's spring. Well, sort of, almost spring, but she's feeling the weather and she's getting really feisty, so she's asking me for second breakfast, which we're not going to give her. No, we're not, because you've already had first breakfast, and we don't want to get into bad habits of thinking that you can boss mommy around. She's a sweet little thing. We rescued her. She was found at a rescue, like the rescue found her and put her up for adoption. And so we fostered her, but I couldn't let her go. I kept her. She was such a sweet thing. I mean, feisty, lots of attitude, but I think that's what I love about her. All right, what do we think so far of those stems? Obviously, it's a huge contrast right now. So because of that, I think I'm going to go in with another green. I don't want to go too different. I might use light phthalo green. I'm going to go right over top the same spot, but just bring it down a little bit. Yeah, I feel like that just softens that contrast a little bit. See, this is how my brain works. I have to work these things out as I'm going. It's really difficult for me to sort of think of these things beforehand and then kind of put them into play on camera for you. So I'm gonna try to do a lot more of these chatty videos, but it's really, really hard because I live in a house of 5 people. So peace and quiet is not exactly easy to come by. Now, luckily, I usually get home a bit before everyone else. So I do have that advantage going for me. But there's still never a guarantee that I'm going to be home alone. But I'm going to try. Anytime I do have time like this, like, because right now everyone's gone to work. It's a decent day, so nobody's home for a rain day. My one roommate, he works construction, so oftentimes on rainy days, he'll end up home because they can't work in the rain sometimes, depending on what they're doing. Yeah. That looks nice, doesn't it? Okay, and then to finish it off, my most used Albrecht Durer ivory. It's my most used Albrecht Durer and my most used polychromos. I haven't had to replace a single one of either, since I got them. And I've had them for a little while. They last a long time. Compared to Prismas, my goodness. They really hold up. But I think if I have to replace one, it's gonna have to be the ivory. I feel like the ivory just softens it up. Blurs together those contrasts. Could use like a really light brown or a light yellow for this too. And that would look nice. But I think because of all the color we have going on already in this picture, I don't want to add too much more. Yeah. This paper has so much tooth to it now because A, it's already very toothy because it's Hanna Karlzon paper, but then B, you add the fact that I have activated Albrecht Durers underneath. Whew, it's just chewing up these pencils. Okay, so what shall we work on next? So I've already finished these flowers more or less, the eggs, the ground. So all we've left is all these little doodads and crystals and the chicks and their costumes. So, more coffee time. So, the chicks themselves, I kind of like the way the yellow is right now. And I think because I'm going for kind of a watercolory look, I might just leave it. I'm not going to put too much detail in here. I could try to make the feathers a little more, you know, feathery, but I kind of like it the way it is. Just this soft, foofy kind of look. I think I'll leave it. Now, I think you're supposed to show the background through this crown here, especially because you can see the daffodil bits, but I might not. I might put some cloth in there just so that I don't have to go back in there and try to match this background. A lot of the crowns that I see in media and stuff, they have like a cloth in here so that you know, it accents whatever the royal color is, you know what I'm saying? So that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to cover up that little bit there with something. I'm going to use a lot of gel pens and metallics and things like that, I think, for a lot of the accents. This is all, you know, clearly cloth, maybe with some jewel accents or something, but, and their little beaks and their feet. So I think let's go on to the beaks and feet. So I'm going to grab dark sepia. Just a little bit to create that shadow. It's all right, out of frame. There we go. Just a little bit. A lot of the time people make their feet, you know, bright orange. And that's okay for ducks because those white ducks, they have those bright orange feet and noses. But baby chicks, they don't really. They're kind of neutral toned. Just touching in these shadow areas. Just a little. There we go. And then we'll do the same with the beaks. Just a touch. Don't want them too dark, that would be weird. All right, so then from there, I'm gonna move into, I think we're gonna try raw umber. So feel free to ask me some questions in the comments, you know, give me some ideas for what you want to hear me talk about. Obviously, I'm talking about the coloring as much as I can. You know, but if you want to hear me chat about anything else, by all means, let me know what it is that you're looking to hear. Do you want to know more about my pets? Do you want to know more about my work? Do you want to know more about, you know, my home life? I'm a pretty open book. As long as you're not asking for my credit card information, you know, I really don't mind telling you about myself. I don't have much to hide. My real name is Melissa, for those of you who are still here. I really don't mind going by Winter or Melissa. It really doesn't matter to me. The girls in my coloring group for Alien Worlds know me as Melissa, and that's fine. I thought that maybe Winter would be easier to remember for people, so. By the way, I use a doll 133. Again, learned that from Karen at My Colorful Country Life. She's saved my life in coloring many times. So Karen, if you're listening, thank you. She was so kind to me when I first started up in the YouTube community, when I opened my channel. Bobini Creates is another one who was very kind to me and helped boost me up at the beginning. Yeah, I like the color of those feet. They look natural, don't you? Good. Time is, 9:30. Okay, so we're not doing bad. We're at half an hour. What's going to be tricky is those eyes. I'm going to struggle with those eyes to try and make them look less dead. You know what I mean? They just look a little creepy at this point, so. Anyway, shall we try and color a couple of crystals? I don't know if I know how to color crystals, I'm gonna be honest with you, but I'm gonna give it a go. Let's give it a whirl. How about that? Yeah. Okay, so for the flowers, we were using basically just violet. Okay. Violet, and what are you? Manganese violet. And we're gonna need white for sure. Oh, manganese violet and blue violet. Okay, so the colors I'm going to try to do these crystals with is blue violet, regular violet, manganese violet. As you can see, I have some of the older pencils. My local art store, I don't think sells a ton of them, so in the open stock, there's a lot of the old ones. And white. Okay, let's start with the darkest, which is the blue violet. I'm gonna start on this little crystal over here. Shall I zoom in more? Sorry about the shaking, there we go. I need a new camera stand. This one is just difficult to work with. All right, so I'm gonna go with the lines that Hannah's given us. And then I'm going to use for the next crystal, I'm going to use regular violet. Kind of making the direction of the light source on them random, because crystals do reflect things in really weird ways, right? So next I'll use the manganese violet. And this tiny little crystal here. Let's do the blue violet again. This one you have to be really careful. Just the teeniest little bit there. And there. And there. Okay. So from there we need white. I'm going to sharpen this up real good because I'm going to do that tiny crystal first. In order to reduce the amount of sharpening I have to do, I try to go with smallest spaces first. I don't often use my Albrecht Durers dry. It seems kind of pointless, especially since I have the polychromos. But in this case, I just decided I wanted to do the whole thing in Albrecht Dürer. Just to see. We're experimenting. I'm just burnishing in the color into the paper. There. I think those look pretty crystally, give or take. Now, of course, I'll go over the edges of them with a white pen of some kind, whether it be Jelly Roll or Posca or something like that, just to give them that nice shiny effect. I might even put some glitter over top, I'm not sure yet. But I'm going to do the same basic thing all the way across. And I think these little spheres I will probably do in Jelly Roll Stardust or Metallic. And these little, what are they, sprinkles? I'm not sure. You know what? I'm going to do them in, I'm going to do them what color am I going to do them? Heck it, I might actually just do them in the purples again, the same purples. I'm doing them the same kind of concept as the crystals. Again with the white over top. We'll see how this looks. It looks fine. It's fine. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say they're little, you know, spherical crystals. Okay, so for king and queen here, I'm gonna use the manganese violet for him. Or no, I'm gonna use darker violets for him. Delft blue and whatever have you. For her, I'm gonna do the lighter, like redder violets. So I'm gonna start with manganese violet. See how like my thought process is all over the place? I can't just settle on one thing. Yeah, having a bunch of roommates comes with having a bunch of pets too. My one roommate is the manager at a pet store, so you can imagine that we end up with a lot of spare animals around the house, which, I mean, I'm not complaining, but it does mean a lot of cleaning, which is fine. I'm just picking random spots and putting the purple in it just to... I don't exactly know how this crown is supposed to be set up, so... But we've got a dog, 2 cats, a rabbit, 3 snakes, and various other creatures. I'm going to use the ivory as opposed to the white here. Yeah, my roommate, she breeds pill bugs. You know those little roly-poly bugs you find under rocks and stuff? Ones that if you touch them, they turn into, they roll up like an armadillo? Yeah, she breeds those. And she actually makes quite a bit of money off of them. She breeds the exotic breeds, though. They're not just that gray, ugly color. She imports exotic ones. They're blue, they're orange. You know, really neat colors. She sells them to people who have terrariums because they're really good for helping to clean the terrarium. They eat dead skin and, you know, animal feces and rotting food and all that kind of stuff. They're just really great recyclers. Yeah, that looks nice. Okay, so for him, I want to use the bluest purple I have, which is Delft blue. Gotta give it a little sharpen though. I'm gonna do basically the same thing with him as I did with her. A lot of you out there don't like snakes, but I think they're absolutely adorable. Hence why we have so many of them. To me, they're just sweet little noodles. Our snakes, so there's, out of the 3 snakes, one is mine. And he's a ball python named Osiris. And he's just the sweetest thing. He's that kind of snake that's so gentle and so easy to handle. He's usually people's first introduction to snakes. When I meet somebody or I know somebody that tells me they don't like snakes, I'm like, well, give him a chance. You know, come over and meet him. You know, he's not so huge that he's horrifying. He's big enough that you know where he is. You know what I'm saying? He's big. He's about the width of my wrist. And he's about 3.5 to 4 feet long. So really manageable. Definitely couldn't eat you. So that's something. He's not even big enough to eat my rabbit. So that's good, isn't it? Okay, so for this, I'm going to tackle it by going darkest in the center and light out to the edges. So that way it looks like the fabric is kind of sunken into the center. Yeah, to me, snakes are really sweet creatures. Highly misunderstood. They're so easy to take care of, too. They practically take care of themselves. You want a great first pet. Oof. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, let me tell you. Yeah, that's good. And again with the ivory. I'm still we're just going to say this is kind of like a somewhat see-through fabric. It's like a sheer fabric. You can see through there just a little bit, but. I'm so glad I was able to sort of keep in this color scheme, the purples, by making hers sort of a reddish purple and his a blue purple. Still created a difference, but without compromising and bringing too many colors in. Right. So for a lot of this, it's going to be gel pens and metallics from here on in. Although I think on bits of their crowns, I'm going to do some metal work. So I don't know if I've done this in Albrecht Durers before. All right, so let's try nougat. Again, I am just winging this, so forgive me. Okay, and now we need, let's say, light yellow ochre. Looking good. And now we're coming in with cream. I don't know how I got that stain on there, but this is also another one I've used a lot. Okay, it makes for a very antique gold, but nothing wrong with that. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. So I'll do the same for around the edge of the crown here. That's nice. All right, guys, I think I've kept you long enough here. So that's how I'll do each of the elements. And yeah, I'll finish off the rest of this on my own time, and you'll see it in my completed pages. So until then, thanks for joining me. Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more of this. Comment down below what other content you'd like to see, what you'd like me to talk about. If you like this kind of content, I'd love to hear from you. All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye now.